Okay, so now we're going to get started with the user accounts. And so the first thing I want to show you, as far as this is any Drupal site goes, and these are a few things that, depending on where you are with the site, that you might not ever need to concern yourself with. But it is good to know like how all these things work. Is that Drupal has probably one of the best array of permissions I've ever seen as far as this content management system goes. And what I mean by that is we can tailor what you have access to down to a very finite. You can see, like, I can scroll down, like, all of these little check boxes tell me what you can and can't do. And so there's like, you can edit the menu, you can add this particular content, you can view this particular content. So like Drupal does an amazing job at kind of tailoring what exactly you can and can't do with permissions. And so permissions are divided within roles. So like me, let's say I'm the site administrator and my column is checked throughout the whole array, so I can do everything. But let's say someone else is going to be a content editor. We don't really necessarily want them to have to see everything. Not like we're, limiting. We're wanting to make their experience a little bit easier. We can tailor it down to just being able to edit and view certain things. And so these checkboxes allow us to make sure that they can only do certain things throughout the Drupal site. So like, for example, this content editor, you can see this column right here. They can create news. They can edit any documents, card pages. But if we go up, they can't delete media, for example. They can't administer image styles. So there's certain things that are going to be more up to a site admin than what a content editor should do. And we've talked about this with your team, and currently we have these, really there's these three roles. The site admin, which would be like the developer, the administrator would be the developer. The site administrator would be your team's like lead. Ryan would definitely be a site admin, or whoever in your GACC who's administering the site would be a site admin. But let's say you have someone beneath you that's a trainee or a volunteer. You probably just want to give them a content editor role. And so we have that here so that you can, create them an account, and you're not just handing them the keys to the castle and saying, here you go. And what they see is limited, but what they can do is also limited, which is really nice. So those are the current roles. And if we ever run into anything like, oh, I can't do this, literally it's me going down this column, finding what you can't do, hitting a checkbox and saving it, and then you can do what you want to do. So it's super simple for me to maintain, and for whoever's going to be administering your site to change. Also, later on, if you find that you want to expand this, like right here underneath people, we have the ability to create different roles. So maybe you want someone that just can go in and just add news. You could do that. So Drupal is extremely extendable, and one of these pieces of how powerful it is the permission and roles feature within Drupal. So that's roles and permissions. So we have a very powerful tool set there.
At the GACC level, are we responsible for the dispatch centers under us as far as assigning roles and permissions? Are they on?
Those are separate sites, so they are on their own. Yeah.
So you'll just be adding users at the GACC. So whoever's the GACC administrator will add users to that website. Nothing below, nothing above.
Yeah. So yeah, let me kind of explain that a little bit better too. I kind of missed that when we were touring or explaining Drupal. So we have a framework that we're sharing throughout from the top level NIC, the NIC site, the one single NIC site, and then the, 10 GACC sites. And then we have a ton of regional sites, but they're all sharing the same platform, but they're not, the database that they're using isn't interconnected. Meaning that when you're creating a user, or when Dispatch is creating their own users, it's not going to affect the GACC level above them. But that's an awesome question. Yes. So everyone, yep, go ahead.
And as standalone databases, the important thing security-wise is, you remember last year when the NIC site got hacked by, who was it? Turkish hack team. It killed the system nationally for weeks. Now once this is all stood up and functioning, the NIC site gets hacked and goes down, the GACC sites stay up, the local sites stay up. It's not a kill one, kill all kind of thing. And so adds a huge layer of security and functionality to us, so that when the Turks come back, beat up on Sean a little more, we all don't take the drug.
Right, and the nice thing about sharing the same platform is you guys share the same benefits throughout all these sites, all these features and functionality. Pretty much the GACC and the regional sites are identical. The NIC site there's only a small few changes as far as, I think it's the front end that really is different, but really you guys are sharing a very similar platform, which makes it super easy for you guys to spin up new sites, and also share that same code base. Helps with maintenance as well.
So say if the next site did go, they get hacked again, and all the stuff that's linked to their content to their page, that would drop off as well, I assume.
Yeah, there's no way to go around that. Unfortunately, there is. I guess if they had their own, dynamic caching for all their files, and a very complex system that Ryan would set up, maybe, but I highly doubt it. Like, typically when a site goes down, it goes down, and so does all their files.
So who's doing the Mother May I for all of the third tier centers, for example?
What was the question?
Who's doing the Mother May I for the third tier centers? Who's setting up all of those sites?
Well, again, that'll be, part of the goal here was to get the geographic area folks some background, and, basically this group is going to build the geographic area websites. Once this training's over, you go back home. That's why we're recording it. We've got the screencast, so we're trying to set you up, but then it'll be, up to the individual center manager at the local third tier center to say, hey, I want one of these. And then, again, the functionality will be built in to populate a form, and it will stand up that site. So there is no permission per se, and then I think it would fall back on the center manager to then identify who they're going to give access to at their level for their website. So there is, the functionality will be built in when the NIC and the GACC sites are out there. Third tiers can start banging out their sites as soon as the functionality is live.
There'll be a lot of incentive for them to do that once you guys get your content in. A lot of times they link other things, and something like the NIC, because the NIC's already stood up, everything you might reference on the NIC, it's always going to be live and current. So if they put forth the effort to, put one of these sites up, then there will be a lot less for them to have to worry about down the line. So we're hoping to get you guys, for fire season, at least have the ability to have like a working site live, and then giving the third tiers until the end of the year type deal. We didn't foresee third tiers really having a chance to get people in to put together their sites. So it's going to be an ongoing process.
Anyway, that's Ryan Tippett. He wasn't here when we did our introductions earlier. He's the guy that understands how this all works on some level. So the security updates, the Drupal updates, that kind of stuff, the servers, that's Ryan's bailiwick. His overwhelming contribution.
Yes, and we all appreciate Ryan. Thank you. So we have, so we have our roles and we have our permissions, and but we have also a page that we can view all the people on the site, because you might need to do some maintenance and say, hey, Jerry's left the organization. We need to like say goodbye to Jerry, because bye Jerry. So yeah, bye Felicia. So then inside joke. So now if we go to people on the admin bar, we can view all the people that are included on the site. This is a demo site. Let me jump on to this other site that has a little bit more users. To get to the login page for any Drupal site in the world, unless they've done some funky security thing, it's just /user. Super easy to remember. And so I just log in with my username and password. And we're going to be doing this after the break. When I create your account, we'll have you log into to a site and be able to play with a Drupal site. So I've logged in. Now I'm in the Drupal site. This little admin bar right here, once I've logged in, I'm going to see this, my name admin. But when I want to view all the Drupal tools, I can just click manage, and then I can see, and typically that's where you're going to be at. You're hardly ever going to be on this user side. You're going to want to see all these Drupal tools. So just to let you know, if you ever log in and you're like, where did all the tools go? That's probably going to be what you're going to have to click on, is just manage. So going back to this people link, we have a few users, and now we can see all these users and their roles. We can see how long they've been a member for. We can see when they've last accessed the site. So like if you asked, who was our example? Travis. Travis was on the site, and he's, was supposed to manage the content. You could see Travis never logged into the site. So obviously we have to kick him off. But just kidding. But you can also, this is a really nice page to view all their roles. So if you want to kind of get an audit of like who's on the site, and one important thing as far as security goes, we don't have a register page public. So like if I go, once you've stood up your GACC sites, or the NIC site, or any of the regional sites, the only people that can create or register accounts are you guys, the administrators. No one else can. So this won't ever you won't get all these bogus accounts. And if we did have a publicly accessible register page where people can create accounts, you would just get inundated by just bots creating accounts. So only you, who are administrators, can create accounts for other people. So I can see all the users, I can see all their roles, and I can also, I'm going to create a user, and I'm going to show you how that's done right now. So if I just click add user, or underneath people, there's a button that says add new user. So I just need to enter in their valid email address. So this isn't valid, but this is just a test. Their username and a password, and we have a password level of strength. So really, you want to have that as, as, let's see, as, there we go, strong. Okay, so you want to have a fairly robust password that you can remember. But one thing to note, when you're creating this account, it's not going to email that person their password, because that's completely not secure. But it will give them an email that's going to say, hey, we've created an account for you. If you click this link, you can set up your own password, which is secure. I don't think this email's on this stage server is set up. So it's going to send out an email that's not going to be, like obviously I don't own test@test.com, so they're going to get that link, but I'm going to delete this. but I'll show you how this works when you guys get your own accounts, and you'll actually see this when it goes into your inbox. So I'm going to create this user, and below we have the ability to block them or activate them. Obviously we're creating them, so we don't want to block them. And now we have the ability to change their roles. The one role that everyone gets when they get an account is authenticated, which means you can log in. This is like the bare basic role that everyone that has an account gets by default, which on all your sites we don't give them access to do anything, because just by chance if someone was able to create an account on your site, we don't want just the authenticated user to have access to do anything. So it's just a security thing. So really I have to click on one of these options to allow them to be able to do anything on your site. So let's say Mr. Test.test.com is going to be a content editor, and you can actually select, depending on, Drupal doesn't have like, it's not very opinionated. You can run different or set up Drupal in a ton of different ways. So you could have roles layered. So like, you know, you could have like a news editor and a static page editor, and then give those two roles to someone. Or content editor could have that ability to just do all that content. For now, that's how we have it set up. So the content editor can just edit content but can't change configuration. So couldn't change your theme, couldn't change your site name, couldn't change your logo, couldn't change other site configuration. So we picked a role. The locale settings, just a kind of a interesting weird thing in Drupal, would just ignore URL alias, just ignore, click create new account, and that will send an email to test.com, and then they can set up their own account. But if I go back to people, I can now see that test user that I've created, and obviously they've never accessed the site, and they've been a member for 13 seconds. But if I wanted to, I could click this, and this little view allows you to do bulk operations. So you could delete, several users at once, or you could click edit and go into their account to make changes. But from here, you could go in and block that user or cancel. So most often it's going to be, you're going to block the user, and what blocking does is it allows that account to still be existing on your site. So later on, if you wanted to, you could reactivate them for some reason, or you could cancel them, which essentially is deleting that user. So let's delete this user, and I'm going to just click apply to selected items. And so this is a very important thing. You don't want to rush this, because let's say Mr. or Mrs. Test at test.com created a bunch of content for you. If you rush this, you could delete all their content that they've contributed to your site, and you could be very upset. So this is very important. So like when you see these confirmation steps, they're in here for a reason. So read them, make sure you understand them, and pick the appropriate one. So the first option is disable the account and keep its content. So this essentially is blocking that user and then keeps their content. Next is disable and unpublish their content. The next one is delete the content and make their content belong to anonymous, which is fine. It's fine if the content is attached to the anonymous user. That's not going to be a security issue or anything. And typically, if you're going to if you're going to be deleting a user and wanting to keep their content, this is the option you're going to be using. The next one is deleting the account and deleting their content. So if this was a spam account, somehow they got in and created a bunch of bogus content, which shouldn't ever happen, but if it did, you could delete this person and all of their content with this one step. But most often, this was a legit person. Maybe they're moving on to a new job, but there's no reason why you want to delete all of their content. So you want to select delete the content, make their content belong to anonymous. If you wanted to, this last check will require confirmation to cancel. I see no reason to ever check this, but you might. But I'm going to click cancel accounts. And you could do this to a bunch of accounts. That's what the whole purpose of this people page is. This people page allows you to, if I can zoom out a bit, I know it's a little bit harder to read now, but I would just want to show you like these tools. So you can search, like let's say you have hundreds of users, and going through a bunch of them or the pages of users is going to be difficult. So you can search by name, email, by role, permission, or status and filter it, which is kind of nice. And then if you want to you could select multiple users and perform multiple or a similar action or the same action on multiple items. Or if you wanted to, you could just go to a particular user. Let's go to this one that's blocked, and I can click edit, so I can go into an individual's account because I have permission to. But nice thing is, no one has access to anyone else's email address. Sorry, password. So if anyone asks you, like, and this happens all the time with anything that has user accounts with passwords, you're always going to run into someone forgetting their password. You, as an admin, don't have access to anyone's password. And the reason is because that's not secure. And people are lazy and use their passwords, the same passwords for a ton of different things. And it's not fair for anyone to have access to anyone else's password. So you don't want that, and Drupal doesn't want that for you. So for security reasons, I can't see Champlin's password, but as an admin, I could reset it for them and let them know, like in person or a phone call or whatever, their new password, which, so that's one thing you can do. But I can also, now I can make, I can activate this user, or I could change their roles. Again, this bottom thing is kind of like a built-in Drupal thing, which you can completely ignore, this locale settings. That's if we are using like a time-sensitive, site that you could see like in your time zone, this is set for this or something. But there's nothing on the site that really uses that, but it's a built-in feature in Drupal. But here I can see this user's account, and I could go in and cancel it. So I could click cancel, and this person no longer works for, this is our organization's person, so I can delete this person. I can delete and then create all the content that he's created to anonymous, and so that's what I would do. But if this person never created content, I could delete this person and his content, but I always think it's safer just to do this second to last option right here. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see that a bit better. So this guy right here, this is the choice option for most times when you want to delete them. This is what you're going to be picking. So yeah, that's creating accounts, and after our break, I should have everyone's account created, and you should receive an email, and it'll have an encrypted like URL link. Don't click on it until we get started, and I'll walk you through the account creation process on the user side. So far, we've only looked at it as an admin, and then when you get back from the break, we'll look at it as a user.
So you're just,
Sure.
for my clarification, you're going to create user roles for everyone on the Nick page or on the...
Sorry, what was that?
You're going to create user roles for everyone on the Nick page?
I'm gonna on this. I'm actually gonna use we have a staging site for our GACC demo site. It's not the one that Ryan created. We'll probably use that one tomorrow. But this site, so we'll all be admins on this one site. But it'll give you a link to the site and how to create or how to set up your account. But we're all going to be, for now, sharing. We're all going to have admin roles for now on this site, and then later on, probably tomorrow, since Ryan set up a site for every individual, we'll probably use that, and we'll create our own. You'll create your own site and be able to have your own silo. But for now, for today, we're going to be sharing one demo site. Any other questions? Or okay, let's break for 5 minutes. Sounds
Let's go back 9:30.
okay. 15 minutes. Cool.